Hello and welcome to another tutorial. My name is Virkayu and this video will show you some important tactics and things you have to do in order to come back from a terrible early jungle start. And I mean, you're 0-2-0, the enemy is fed, you've lost your buffs, you've lost camps, and what do you do besides cry tears of despair? I'm going to give you 5 steps that you can use to accomplish your comeback. And to show you these steps, I'm going to use 2 games as an example, one a Rengar vs Kha'Zix game and one a Maokai vs Gragas game. In the first game, we're caught sleeping around a red buff. It happens, but make sure you're guarding all entrances in the case of invades when you start your games. Regardless, here I die, and we don't see them leave our jungle. This means I know Kha'Zix is actually going to start at my red buff, meaning I cannot go back there and blind check to see what's happening. This principle applies to all phases of the game. But if you know there is someone in your jungle, don't go back there to face check if they're ahead. You're just putting yourself further behind and further giving them more of a snowball. I figured since he would start my red and probably go straight to his blue afterwards, I'd move up and take his red. I started up and I'm getting quite low, and immediately, because you should always do this, I see mid and top moving away from their lanes towards me, and I have to bail. This is a very ominous start, and I'm level 1 with 0 CS minutes into the game. Looking from the red team's point of view, you can see that their top laner put an extremely smart ward on Kha'Zix's red, so they saw me doing it. If you didn't think it could get any worse, you were wrong. I moved to walls and boom, Kha'Zix is there again. To top it all off, I accidentally flashed the wrong way because I'm tilted and kind of irritated. So maybe I didn't flash the wrong way more than just kind of accidentally tapped it in frustration. Most people would be irritated. This is unreal pressure and denial. And it's a solo queue game, so rarely will you see such a coordinated effort to shut down the enemy jungler. You know, unless you're Kindred, because the enemy will 100% rotate your marks every time and your team will forget you exist. Yeah, that's some Kindred salt right there. Anyway, again, don't go back to your blue side jungle. This is step number 1. Don't go where you know the enemy is, and could still be. Kha'Zix is there, he's taking my wolves, he's most likely taking my blue. I'm level 1, he's level 3. Things aren't gonna go well if I go back there. So, I head to the red side now where I know he isn't, and I take my raptors. Finally, I'm level 2. Remember to keep tracking the scoreboard, pressing tab and bringing it up and looking at the enemy jungle CS, especially at the beginning of the game, because you can see what camps they've taken during the early phases. And this can allow you to determine what camps are actually available. Keep your eyes on the map at all times. It's at this point your path to revenge will begin. You need to play intelligently and very safe. Keep wards at the entrance of your jungle and always try and see where the enemy jungler is. You want to avoid him, you don't want to fight him at the moment. Kha'Zix's mistake is spending a lot of time on the top lane. I see that on the minimap and I see that he's still behind in CS, so I go and take his blue buff. I'm unsure if he's coming back at this point, so I decide to leave and take the scuttle crab. I'm still only level 2 and it's kind of risky, but I actually make a mistake and I should have gone back and taken his grump, or wolves at least, once I saw him top again. But nevertheless, I take my Krugs, which is a safer option, and I go back to heal up and buy the much needed control ward. Step number 2 and 3 for getting back into the game revolve around defending your house, your jungle, and punishing the mistakes of the enemy jungler. You can't afford to make any more mistakes yourself, but you can still punish his. Keep your jungle safe and don't go venturing into the darkness. Use defensive vision and ask your team to do the same. If the enemy tries to invade again, implore your team to rotate and help you, because at this point you just cannot 1v1 and you really need the help. And if they want you to be active on the map again, they need to give you a little bit of assistance at this point. You want to avoid fighting, especially if with Kha'Zix. You fight him 1v1, you're gonna die again unnecessarily and he's just gonna get even further ahead. So now by this point I've taken my Gromp, I've taken my wolves, and I carefully warded over the wall without face checking any river brushes. I didn't want to go put my wards in the river because I just didn't know if he was gonna be coming into my jungle again, or maybe he's clearing the scuttle. Those could be dangerous mistakes, so I stay close to my camps and ward over the wall. I don't want to give him any clues to my location, and this is why I actually don't hit the plant when I place my control ward. In retrospect, I should have, and he would have known we have seen him, so he might have actually left, but things work out in a second. He sees me and he's coming for me. I'm low and I'm doing up my raptors. I will just have to leave and give it up. I can't fight him for it. There's no way on earth I can stay here. In the event your mid laner doesn't want to help you, just leave. There's nothing you can do to fight him unless your team helps. But don't tilt, don't put yourself further behind. I'm guilty of this, I know all of you are as well. Keep warding your own jungle and being safe. Fortunately, my Vayne mid, yes, Vayne mid, comes and punishes the Kha'Zix all in for invading when his mid laner has actually gone back. And this is key, remember, when the enemy makes a mistake, punish him. In this situation, it lets me take raptors on my red and get back to base, heal up and get some crucial items. It's a small win for me and a nice win for Vayne to get that kill. You can see now that Kha'Zix is on the top side but he has my blue timer as much as I do, and I'm not face checking that bush as my mid and top are falling a bit behind on vision. Fortunately, my bot lane is stomping, and this is something to consider. A lot of times when this happens, you might have 3 lanes losing and the whole team collapsing on you at all times. How to come back from that as a team is a separate issue, and a lot of the times you really can't. It's a topic for another video and we'll get into it in detail later on. In this one, however, I go to where I know the Kha'Zix probably isn't, my Krogs, and I take them to get level 6, and that's the most important thing here. I've got my ult, now I can probably do something. And this is finally where we catch up in XP and gold. He shows top again, wasting a lot of time in the top bush. I take the second blue spawn because I'm watching his timer, wondering where he is. Maybe he's taking my blue. That's why I didn't want to go face check it, but he's top side. So I take his whole blue side jungle, and then I begin to move to my blue side as I feel confident enough finding him there and being able to get out or at least have Vayne rotate as she's already done so. And this is where we move to step 4. Once you've regained your farm, once you've regained XP, and some map and vision control, it's now time to see what you can do on the rest of the map for your team. As I said, I was very lucky my bot lane did such a good job and Kha'Zix really didn't punish them for constantly pushing. I see that Kled is low and fighting my top laner, so I move to ult and counter gank, but as you can see, Kha'Zix was still waiting in that bush. He's completely wasted his lead and taken his foot off the gas in terms of his pressure on me and on my team, because he's worried about the collapse of everyone now. Which is right, he should. But I focused the kill on the Kled when I ult and Urgot turns on Kha'Zix. I had a nice Ebola on the invisible Kha'Zix and I flashed my emote to let him know that I'm the big cat on the map now. I take his raptors and I'm about to go back because the enemy also has some lazy vision. I counter gank a Leona to save my Vayne. Sadly she condemns her away from my hard CC and we lose a kill, but now my fed bot lane has arrived and we're beginning to close out the game through the focus of objectives. Don't forget that. I'm relevant now and I can participate normally in the game. And that's the final step, step 5. Make up for lost time and begin to apply your own pressure with your team and on the enemy jungler. Kha'Zix had a dream start, but he wasted so much time on top lane, not punishing any lanes, not really being able to punish me, and that's because I played safe and intelligently. I didn't go where he was. I didn't want to let him punish me again. I made sure to avoid him completely, and my Vayne did help me out at one crucial stage. You are dependent on your laners in this situation. It won't always be perfect, but you do need to explain to your laners what you're doing so that they can understand they have to ward, collapse, and play safe while you catch up. This won't always happen, and so we transition to the Maokai example where we had a terrible stat, but I catch up less through hard farming, counter jungling, and avoidance, and more putting my tree foot down. In this one, due to one of the most annoying champs in the game, Gragas, cheesing me at my blue buff and then a team-wide error on the bot side, we just all made mistakes there. He is 2-0-2, every lane is losing, and I'm 0-2 myself. Step 1 and 2 is complete as I take control of my own jungle and ward the entrances, and I don't go where I've seen the Gragas go. My lane is having a rough time without jungler assistance, but ganking really isn't possible at the moment. Step 3 occurs as I see Gragas ganking the bottom side while his red buff is spawning. And again, he's done this a few times now. He chose to attempt a weaker gank rather than keep his fat foot on my branches. I'm still only level 4 and this is a second red buff spawn, so I haven't been able to get back as much as I would have liked at this point like I did with Rengar, but I haven't died anymore and I've warded a lot and we've managed to thwart most of his ganks. As I mentioned in past videos, the best ganks can come from when you're counter jungling, so I steal his red and I move my way to top side. We kill the enemy Gnar, I take my second blue, and I'm caught up in levels. Sometimes it's that quick to get back into the game. One mistake by the enemy can give you the opportunity to get back into it. You have to be opportunistic when you're coming back into the game, and don't spend time tilted, talking, or focusing on the wrong things. Keep your head in the game and focus on what you have to do to begin making an impact. When the enemy is focusing on trying to gank lanes rather than keep you down, you have to be decisive and not let them snowball everyone while you're farming. Here comes step 4, making your impact felt on the map now that you are caught up and able to do so. In this case, he ganks top versus my Quinn because the red buff wasn't there, so he decided he's gonna go straight and gank. She also hasn't put any vision down during the game whatsoever, so this hurts her of course. And this is when our comeback really turns into the 6th gear. I immediately turn onto the mid lane, I use my flash, and we kill the Xerath. Anivia has died multiple times solo, and every time I was moving to gank I just couldn't because she was dead and I couldn't risk going there when I was 2 levels down on the Xerath, as well as having Gragas roam the rivers as he was. After the kill on Xerath, I don't go into the enemy jungle and try and greed to steal the blue buff. It's a little bit risky. I'm not exactly sure where the Gragas is at that point in time because I really wasn't paying too much attention while I was ganking, so that's my fault. Rather than taking any unnecessary risks, I go back into my own jungle. My comeback isn't quite yet in the bag and my team is still a bit far behind. I clear my whole red side, and I notice Xerath trying to put a cheeky ward inside my jungle. I immediately turn to go and gank him again because I see the Quinn roaming down from top side. We combo him and he's dead again. He died, he came back, he died again. The momentum of the game is with us because we've secured farm, vision, and a few successful ganks. We're back in it. Step 5 is completed. After applying some more pressure around the map, I gank top again and Quinn secures the first tower gold. Our team now has a little bit of a lead and we use that to push the enemy off of a dragon, and we get that also. So, despite the horrific start, because of good vision and safety from my laners, Gragas didn't really get any ganks off and he didn't keep the pressure on me. I was able to farm where I could, steal a camp where I could, and then basically chain gank 3 or 4 times, and that allowed us the ability to get first tower gold as well as a free dragon. We actually lost the game after this, but that's mostly because we made a series of mental errors from lack of vision, and then tilt carried over from everyone and it kind of fell apart. We had a few good plays, but it wasn't the bad beginning that hurt us, it was our decisions afterwards. And that's the main thing. We did manage to come back into the game after the poor start to the point that it was equal. Okay, I hope you learned something about getting back into the game as a jungler when you have a horrible start, whether it's from invades, from you tower diving 2 times. I've done that. I've been 0-2-0 from Warwick from diving at level 3 twice. But using these 5 steps and sort of configuring my mind to focus on what I have to do, I was able to get myself back into the game, and by doing that to get my team back into the game. And every game will be different. You have to have a hybrid of farming and ganking because you have catch-up XP from kills also. So play the game as it is. If a jungler is making predictable, repetitive, and bad mistakes in terms of his pathing and vision, punish that by taking his farm and you'll catch up quicker. And then you can have nice angles for ganking and so on. Focus objectives, focus dragons, and do what you can to get yourself equal in XP and gold once again. Thank you very much for watching. Please invade that like button, comment and put any questions you have down below. Subscribe if you do like these videos and would like to see some more. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.